It's another week, which means there's another Tuesday podcast episode. And this one is for the reality television lovers. I interviewed Venita Aspen, also known from Bravo's reality television series Southern Charm. We talked about my three favorite things in this world: food, beauty, and fashion. She gave me her best makeup tips and tricks, fall fashion advice, and we got into what it's like to have your life filmed on national television. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Venita Aspen.
One, two, three, four.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How have you been since we last chatted? We chatted back in May, I believe.
Yeah, we chatted, which is so crazy to think that we chatted back in May, but I've been good. I've definitely been cooking a whole lot more. I think this is the first week actually where I have not been cooking. So it's been kind of throwing me off a little bit, to be honest.
Oh, really? Have you had a
Yeah.
lot of dinner parties? Because that's what our story was all about.
Well, I've been going to a lot of dinner parties, but I haven't been planning any of them, so I haven't been cooking anything. But it's nice. It's a nice little excuse.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I'm attending all of the dinner parties, but I literally just got off of like a 4-day press kind of trip, so I've been eating
Wow.
out every single day.
Oh, it must be so nice to come back home and like get back into like your normal food routine after like traveling and eating out so long. That's so long.
It's so long. Yeah, it was basically we're eating out every single day because I am a food writer, so it makes sense
Yeah.
that I'm eating a lot. But I came home yesterday and I finally got to cook and I was just like a weight was off my shoulders.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's always the best feeling.
It's a good problem to have though, so I'm not complaining. So let's get into your food background a little bit because you do a lot. You do beauty, fashion, food, but you went to culinary school originally. Did you know that you were always interested in food? What did that look like for you?
I knew I was actually always interested in fashion, but at the
Mhm.
time I wanted to create like a Bergdorf's, but for Charleston, where it was like, I was going to be able to curate all these fun local Charleston designers and then have a restaurant attached to the shop.
Okay.
And once I kind of got into the world of culinary arts, I realized that it was going to take a lot more than me just knowing how to cook to be able to do something like this. So
Mhm.
I kind of, I didn't let the idea fizzle. Kept cooking, but I just was like, I was cooking in the kitchen until I can't.
What was culinary school like for you? Did you find it difficult? Was it easy?
Culinary school for me was fairly easy. I will say that some of my worst classes were cutting techniques, and I was a horrible baker. And I feel like those are cutting techniques, I feel like is one of those things where it kind of separates you from the rest.
Hmm.
But I just kind of had to keep telling myself that it's fine that I don't know how to cut as long as the flavor is there and I can make it look good. Even if my techniques aren't perfect, I can still make a good dish.
Hmm.
But cutting and baking, I almost failed.
I understand that. So when you say cutting techniques, does that just mean chopping,
I
different
mean,
styles?
I think because I was such a and I am still such like a girly girl in the sense of like constantly getting my nails done, love to play with lengths, love to play with color. Like it was difficult for me to be able to like grip things in order to cut. So like that was also to
Uh,
my disadvantage. So and I was not giving up my nails. So I that made it a little more difficult for me when it came to cutting. But now I feel like I've definitely gotten a whole lot better, but it's still something that I feel like I'm not as good as I could be when it comes to my cutting techniques.
yeah, I think that's something that just comes with practice. But honestly, I'm not good like it either. I cut and it'll all taste the same, you know?
Right, right, right. And that's what I had to keep telling myself. I was like, it's fine because at the end of the day, when people are really looking for a good dish, they care about the presentation. So if you can fake that, and then as long as the food tastes great, it'll be fine. No one cares about your cutting techniques.
Exactly. I always say this too when it comes to baking. It's just so much more precise and you need the patience for it versus
Yeah,
cooking where it'll taste good when
yeah.
you throw it all together, you
And like
know?
when you're doing like savory dishes or dishes that don't require baking, you kind of like fake it a little bit. If you add too much salt, you can cut it with sugar. If you add too much sugar, you can cut it with salt. You can't do that when you bake. You have to start the entire thing over. And that was did not enjoy did not enjoy that at all.
Absolutely. So when you were going through culinary school, do you find that there's a stigma about culinary school that you maybe think is untrue or a myth about it that you could bust?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. I feel like if I were in school now, the myth that could be busted is having a mean chef as your
Mm,
teacher and someone that was like screaming and yelling at you. Back when I was in school, that was actually very true, where
mhm.
it was just kind of like a very hardcore, cutthroat industry. But no, I think unfortunately there aren't any things that I can kind of bust in the culinary world unless you have one that I've not thought about or heard of.
I think Mean Chef is a good one
Yeah,
though.
Mean Chef is a good one. And I feel like it's still pretty dependent on location. I will say that in Charleston, my first kind of go at it, I actually ended up being a lead pastry chef at a restaurant out of school, which is crazy because I absolutely hated pastry, but it was the only way I could get into the kitchen. So I just had to like practice, practice, practice at home. I asked to bring the recipes, but that chef was actually just, I mean, she was awful. I was like, I could not,
Oh,
I still get choked up thinking about it and talking about it. I just could not imagine someone actually being mean in the kitchen and like not approachable, but I had one for sure.
yeah, because that's not a constructive way for teaching either if you're just
No,
constantly berating them. Was
no.
she normally kind of yelling at you, or was she kind of just not aiding the way to do things?
She wasn't really, she aided. I shouldn't say she didn't. She did help, but she always had this constant attitude and she constantly had this cloud of anger. And I don't know if that was because she was a chef who had previously won like Top Chef season like 11 or something like that. And then she came to
Okay.
Charleston to cook. So I don't know if it was because, she was like she was like she was in charge, and you don't see a lot of females in
Mhm.
charge in the kitchen. So I don't know if it was because of that or if that's just how she was taught. So now that's how she's teaching others.
Right, right. Yeah. Once you are a woman in the kitchen, you have to make sure you keep it because it's not very existent.
No, and that's actually the reason why I ended up leaving the culinary world is because, like I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty girly. I love nails. I love makeup. Had no absolute issue going into work every day with a full face of makeup on, freshly painted
Mhm.
nails, lipstick, and like the amount of times I would like just get made fun of by my peers because I work with a lot of men and they would question, why are you coming to work so dolled up and like no one's going to see you and blah blah blah, and it's like, it made me feel good, so like I kept doing it. But yeah, being a
Right.
woman in the kitchen is hard. I feel like it's maybe a little easier now. I can't really speak to it as much. I would hope it would be easier, but it's definitely a learning curve, and like the majority, eh, they either leave and do their own thing or they just leave as a whole.
Well, this is the typical stereotypical kind of thing, but we wear makeup to make us feel good. It's not really for the
Right.
outside
Like
observer.
I love to like get up and like put on my little makeup, some good perfume, like have freshly done nails, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, okay, like I'm, I have some things together, I'm in order, blah 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 blah. And yeah, it was wild. But that's when I knew I needed to leave because there was a part of me that like got so much joy from the industry, like the beauty industry and fashion, that I still
Mhm,
had like a heart for, but I was trying to learn
mhm.
as much as I could from the culinary perspective so I could still potentially maybe have this grand idea that I had of having the locally owned shop and restaurant combination. But
Right.
I couldn't make it, so I ended up leaving.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And before culinary school, what did cooking look like for you growing up?
So my dad actually did a lot of the cooking, which was kind of fun. My mom kind of
Okay.
made the same things, like weekly spaghetti or cabbage and rice
Mhm,
or whatever, but my dad would kind of like have fun with it. So
mhm.
I really grew up watching my mom bake, which is again, now I'm great at baking. At the time, awful, hated it. But I used to watch her do all the baking, and I used to watch my dad do all like the savory cooking and like dinners and lunches and things. But
Mhm,
I was fairly involved. Like they let me help. I would always ask to help. They'd be like, okay, I would be the one in charge of like figuring out the spices or like,
mhm.
cooking things on the side, cleaning the kitchen. So I was pretty involved before culinary school, which was fun.
Yeah, and you're still fairly close with your mom, right? I
Yes,
saw
yes,
you were
yeah.
on. She was recently on the episode. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom and I are thick as thieves.
Does she still bake for you a little?
Yes, and she still makes, if I make a request at the beginning of the week, it has to be at the beginning of the week, not midweek. She will have it ready for me
Okay.
by the end of the week. So anything I ask for, she will still make. I just have to put my request in on time.
Yeah, it's a deadline.
Yeah,
She's got to
no, she's
prepare.
like, listen, I have things going on. I don't have time to cook for you. Don't you know how to cook? Didn't you go to school for this? And I'm like, yeah, but like, I still want what you're making.
No, I do the same thing. What is her staple? What does she cook for you normally?
So my
Or is
favorite,
it kind of all over the
all
place?
over the place. My favorite thing from her, and this is gonna sound so weird to say because the name is like weird, but like the baby shower meatballs, like you know what I'm talking about. Like those are the meatballs that you always see when you're at like a baby shower or like a little wedding shower or function. They're so good. She makes turkey wings with white rice for me and gravy.
Oh,
Lima beans and rice. She makes a really good cabbage. Like everything's just good. And if it's something new for her, she'll like try it a couple times and then she'll like let me taste it. She also makes a really good jerk chicken wing.
oh, so
Like
good.
you literally pick them up and everything just falls off the bone. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it. It's so good. It's so tender, so flavorful. She does a really good job.
Wait, I want to go back to those baby shower meatballs. I've never heard anyone call that before.
Like you know when you go to the events and like every all the food spread out lined up on the table and like you see the
Yeah.
crock pot and it's the crock pot of goodness. The crock pot is like I don't know, like 7, 8 inches deep, and it's just piled high with these meatballs that have like this hickory, smoky, sweet mixed with pineapple flavor. And you get your little toothpick and you get your meatballs out and you just enjoy life. I need you to try baby shower meatballs. I feel like the name baby shower meatballs is kind of trending right now on TikTok, but it's the meatballs
Oh,
that everyone knows that are just like that's why you go to the function. You go to the function for the meatballs. Like, yes, we love our people, but like the meatballs is why I'm really here. Like,
okay. I'm adding that to my list. I have not heard that before. I know what you're talking about because I do always see them,
yes,
but I don't think I categorize them in my mind like that.
yeah, and because I feel like that's the only time you ever see them, and it's nothing fancy. You literally can go to any freezer section in the grocery store, get the frozen meatballs, get you a nice smoky
Mhm.
barbecue sauce, like a can. What does my mom do? I think my mom does like a can of diced pineapples, a little
Okay.
bit of, I think she does a little bit of brown sugar, and that's really it. You just kind of
Okay.
let that sit for like, I don't know, like 2.5 to 3 hours in the crock pot and let it slow cook. Phenomenal.
Oof. So what is your go-to meal right now? What are you said you weren't cooking, but now you kind of started again.
So my go-to meal, I'm trying to categorize it. My go-to meal for breakfast is always something that involves avocado, egg, any vegetable I can kind of get my hand on. I usually do like a vegetable hash, so it includes all of those things.
Okay.
And then for lunch, oh man, I made a really good BLT yesterday with sun-dried tomatoes. Oof,
Oh,
it was it was so good. It was so good. So that's I feel like a BLT is kind of like
summer perfection. So good for the summer.
yeah, and I feel like a BLT is kind of like my fixation food. Like, do you have a fixation food where it's like no matter the week, you are always making the same thing over and over again?
Yes, I was doing that, and then I get myself sick of it
Yes.
because then I eat it too
Mhm,
much, and then I just revert back to eating
mhm.
Cheerios, and then it's like a cycle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I feel like a BLT is like my new fixation food, and then I would make this salad. It's just like carrots, cucumbers, tomatoes, red onions, grated Parmesan cheese,
Yum.
and I think did I say tomatoes? I might not have.
No.
But add tomatoes and just because I
Okay.
missed it. But serving it with the Olive Garden salad dressing, game
Oh,
changer. That is like I don't care how fancy of a
okay.
restaurant I go to, like I just wish they all had Olive Garden salad dressing. That's the best salad dressing on the market. Like
That's a bold statement.
I I have not been able to find a perfectly bottled Caesar dressing yet that I like love. I love a good anchovy based, like lots of anchovy
Okay.
based Caesar dressing. So I always go back to that Olive Garden salad dressing. It's
Oh, I'm gonna add that one too because I Caesar salad is the one salad that I can always eat no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I know everyone, all the girls do like a side of fries with it or something like that, and then a Coke.
No, I do an extra side of
Just bring on the
anchovies.
anchovies, that's it.
Yeah, just bring on the anchovies. I feel like it's become this like pet peeve of mine recently where it's like I order a Caesar salad and I'm like, where are the anchovies? Like this is not a Caesar, guys.
Yeah, they all do it differently, but the anchovies add the flavor to it. And it took me a while to even figure out that anchovies were in it. And when I did, it freaked me out a little
I
bit, but
know.
I quickly got over that.
Yeah, because the flavoring is just so good. It's like, okay, I can avoid it. Like even if it's in the dressing and I don't have it on as a garnish, I'm fine with that. But the anchovies make a Caesar.
And I want to get more into the beauty and fashion side of what you do because personally, I'm interested in beauty and fashion and I love all those things. I'm very girly. So
Okay.
I saw you posted a makeup routine yesterday and I wanted to know if there's an underrated makeup product that you think people should use. What's your tip?
I wouldn't necessarily say a product. I would say an
Okay.
underrated brand, which is a brand called Minted Cosmetics. Minted Cosmetics, I think I met the founders back in 2017, I think,
Mhm.
right before they even got started. And like their mission to, obviously create makeup that everyone could use, but kind of just like leaning more so on women
Okay.
of color was good. And like they have some of the best pigmentations I've seen. They have some of the best liners. They're priced the best, where it's like you're kind of in between that drugstore Sephora price point. So it's
Mhm.
not really breaking the bank, but they have a bronzer in the shade
Okay.
Out of Office.
Okay.
Good. It's so good.
Do you feel like Rihanna's brand Fenty is kind of inclusive? Because I know they have a big range as well.
I do feel like they're inclusive. I personally can't wear it because one, I have so what makes it hard for me in the beauty industry is I have some floral
Oh,
extract allergies. So like I always have to look at the back of the packaging. With her, I think the foundation shade that I'm in, my undertones are too
okay.
red. So like I don't like a very red undertone. I'm more of like a
Mhm.
middle cool undertone. So it just is too red for me. But she has this, I can like see it. It comes in a tube. You open the top, but you press the product out, and it's just like no, I guess it's just like a lotion
Mhm.
bronzer, I guess. And it has like, it's one, it smells delicious.
Mhm.
Two, the pigment is phenomenal, and then it just has this like very beautiful like sheen and like glitter to it
Okay.
that just makes you glow. And it is like I wear it every single time I go out in the summer. Like if I'm going out to a dinner party or if I'm going out to the beach, just kind of like add it like in my collarbones and my arms. It's
Pretty. Yeah, I was using a primer that was had some of that shine in it, but I found that when I put it under foundation, it made it a little bit cakey. So maybe I'll try like a bronzer or something like that to kind of use.
there's a product called Lumi. I think it's like it's a L'Oreal product. It's Lumination or it's like
Okay.
LUMI something. That's what a lot of the girls are putting underneath for that like glow from within
Um,
throughout their foundation. Since it's meant for face, the Rihanna one that I use, or the Fenty one that I use, is meant for body more so than it's meant for face. So I would use the one from
Oh,
L'Oreal for your
okay,
face.
cool. I'm gonna have to buy that later, but every time I go to Sephora, it's really just a dangerous game.
I really have to like clean my makeup area probably like once a month just to make sure I'm not going to Sephora to buy an eyeliner and I
Yep.
already have seven and I'm
Yeah.
just not using them.
It's the
You
impulse
know?
purchases at the end. When I go to the end, I just buy too many things, and then it's like, oh, over $100.
Yes, the minis are. I mean, we travel a lot, so the mini section is great. We're like, oh, our new favorite our full size product comes in a mini. Like, let's buy it. But like, yes, that's definitely where they kind of get you.
Yeah, because the translucent powder I just bought, it's Laura Mercier, but it's my favorite one. But it was, I might get the price wrong, but I think it was over $20 just for this like mini.
The mini one, yeah, because the large one is 48, and I only know that to the T because I had to buy it yesterday. The large one's 48. The mini one's
Yeah,
22 or
it's
something like
crazy.
that. I think. Yeah, yeah,
But
it's
it's
wild.
my saving grace right now when I'm traveling, just a little powder.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I actually put that powder on. Like I do this so my foundation routine I got it from Jackie Anna way back in the day when she posted this on YouTube where she would spray her face first with a
Okay.
priming spray, and then you put on any cream based primer second. Then you set that with a loose, light filtered powder like the Laura Mercier. Then you put your foundation on. I know
Oh.
it sounds like a lot, but it's all very, very thin layers. And if you have oily skin, it really just does a good job of like trapping those oils in so they don't like push out during the day. I barely have to touch my makeup up.
Genius. I'm taking that
I
in.
know. I should.
I'm gonna do that. I'm going to the Taylor Swift concert tonight, and I have to do my makeup, and I'm very excited.
Ooh. I went to the Taylor Swift concert at
Oh,
MetLife.
so good. Okay,
Insane.
what were your surprise songs? That's the real question.
Okay, so like I was not a Swiftie. I was a Taylor Swift fan prior. I was a Taylor Swift fan. I wasn't a Swiftie, and I was so excited to go because I was like, okay, this is the moment where I'm gonna like become a Swiftie, and like I definitely did. I listen to Taylor Swift all the time now.
Yeah.
Like, and now I can like call out like and I'm in my workout classes and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is a Taylor Swift song, and like I get so excited. But I realize like how many hit singles she's had in her career. Like every other three songs in my workout is a Taylor Swift song, and I'm like, oh, like this is like she was not here to
Hmm.
play any
Well,
games.
people also are always saying that she's not a strong vocalist, but her lyrics are really well crafted.
Yes, her
They're
lyrics are very
so
powerful.
powerful,
Yeah,
and it's artistry, and I'm just so excited. But a lot of the surprise songs, I've been listening to her since I was young. I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore Swifty, like cult like, but I
yeah,
definitely enjoy her music. But I know all of the surprise songs, she's
yeah.
played my favorite ones already, so I'm curious to see.
Oh
No.
no, yeah, it was great, and like I'll say that when you go, if you don't already have one, a portable fan for your makeup is
Oh,
key.
that's yeah.
Yeah, even if you can get one, like like one of those old school fans that just like they come out and you can
Yeah.
just like do this. You need to have a fan. You need to make sure you have a light for your selfies and your
I do have one
videos.
of those. I do.
Okay, we got the light. That's important. I would say make sure you have lipstick. I wasn't really with that trick that I told you. I didn't really have to touch up my face at all. I just had to keep touching up my lipstick because I kept not drinking out of a straw, so like my lipstick
Mhm.
kept getting messed up. Yeah, you should. Oh, you're gonna have so much fun. I'm
Oh, I'm so excited.
jealous.
I'll let you know how it is. I'm actually bringing my mom.
How are you gonna do your
Okay,
makeup?
so I'm doing lover era kind of vibe. So I don't normally
Okay.
go for pink, but I have a pink dress that's kind of tie-dye-ish, a little bit of white in it, and then
Hmm.
it's very coastal cowgirl. So I have Tacova boots that I'm gonna wear with it. And then I was thinking of doing like a little pink eyeshadow moment. I have a lip stain that's pretty pink and pretty, and then some glitter situation. It's gonna be a vibe and game time decision, I think.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. Your outfit's gonna be good. Don't stress about it. Like it's gonna be good. You're gonna have so much fun. I'm so
Thank you.
excited
I'm
for you.
excited too. As we get into fall too, do you have any fashion advice as we head to the new season? What do you normally pick in the fall? What's your go-to?
I would say to utilize your summer essentials in the
Mm.
fall. If your summer essentials are typically like cream, white, or black tees with a straight leg jean, wear that same outfit, throw on a blazer, throw on a cardigan. And, I'm trying to move in the season of repurposing and buying
Yes.
less. This is going to be very hard for me because I've never done that before.
Same.
I think the easiest way or the best thing to do for the fall is just kind of taking all the things that you did in the summer and add fall like elements to them. So if you were wearing like not like a cutoff short, but like a fun knee length short that you kind of like rolled up, put a like loose light
Mhm.
sweater on top. You can wear sneakers, maybe pair it with like sneakers and like some scrunchy socks, to kind of just make it feel a little more
Uh-huh.
cozy. Yeah, I'm gonna lean on trying to repurpose as much as you can from summer for fall until you can't.
Okay. No, that's really smart because I am
Yeah,
just one of those people.
yeah.
This is very bad for the environment too, but I just keep buying and buying and buying, and I'm like, I could layer, I could do new things with it. And I'm really trying to push
Yeah.
my fashion a little bit because I normally kind of opt for the same type of clothes. So I'm trying to do things that don't necessarily match as well as I think it do, but it looks fashionable, it looks good because I see people do it all the time. I'm just like, I'm pushing the envelope a little.
And then yeah, another thing you can do in fall, which is great, is all the sweaters and blazers and cardigans that we love. They've been around before. Go to the thrift store.
Yes.
You can walk in the thrift store with like $30. At least in Charleston, you can. You can walk into a thrift store with like $30, and you can walk out with like 6 to 7
Hmm.
sweaters. So do that. Be creative with the clothes. Play around with sizing. Like, don't think that you have to have everything that's like form fitting. I feel like loose is having a moment again
Yeah,
where like straight leg jeans are in. Having things that are more open in the sense of like shape is in, as versus having it like so form fitting. So like go to a thrift store and like play with the options there too. That could be fun. And it's eco friendly. You're recycling something. You'll feel good about it. You're not breaking the
right.
bank.
I am definitely learning that I am more of a comfort and look good person than I am form fitting and
Oh
uncomfortable
yeah.
because I used to do that often. And now I just try to mix the two so I'm comfortable as well. But so I'm not doing as much form fitting unless I'm going like out or something. But
Yeah, unless you're going out.
that's a whole different kind of moment. What's your
Yeah,
favorite accessory at the moment? Accessories are my thing. I love a good earring. You're wearing very cute earrings right now.
thank you. I think my favorite accessory right now would have to be this vintage Gucci watch that kind of had a moment on TikTok at the beginning of the spring, summer. It was like that where you can change the faces, the color of the faces. I found it on eBay, well under $300, and it's been my favorite accessory so far. Like,
Now, do you actually use it to tell the time?
well, no, because I never got the battery replaced, and I'm working on that. But I will use it to tell the time once I get the battery replaced.
Amazing.
And I would also say my other favorite piece of jewelry or accessory right now is I wear a lab grown tennis
Oh, those are
bracelet.
a big thing, the lab grown right now.
Yeah. And I think this is the best price I've seen. I want to say it's about two, I don't know, like 218, 220.
For a whole bracelet, that's not bad.
Yeah, and like, it's a
Mhm.
decent size carrot. And like I have gone to many a jeweler and they can't tell the difference initially until they really start to like deep dive and they bring that little like eye monocle,
Yeah.
whatever thing they use out to like actually look at the diamond and stuff. That's the only time they can tell if it's like a lab grown diamond. So I say this is a good investment piece. It's very easy in the beauty and fashion space to feel like you kind of have to keep with the Joneses, and that's fine, but you got to find a way to do that in your budget. And who's spending $10,000
Right.
on a tennis
No,
bracelet
you
right
said
now?
it
Not me.
so perfectly because I go to all these media events and I go to these things. I'm like, where are people buying all these clothes? Like, it's just not in my budget to spend thousands of dollars on clothes. Hence why I'm
No.
trying to layer and kind of change up my style with the same pieces that I already have. But I'm also a shopaholic, so it really contradicts itself.
Yeah, and the best way to do that too, I think, is renting. I feel like at one point there was kind of like a little stigma on renting items and it was weird, but now I feel like everyone does it. I mean, I rent everything from handbags to
Mhm.
dresses.
Okay.
Renting is good. You get to figure out if you would actually buy the item or not to see how often you would wear it. Do you actually like this $3,000 handbag, or do you just like the idea of having the name? And you get to kind of figure that all out without spending too much money, breaking the bank, impulse buying. So you get to choose. You get to choose and you have options, and you're not limited with renting. You can kind of, sky's the limit when it comes to renting products. So I think renting is another, that can also be another good tip for fall, renting
I always forget that
products.
that's an option. I really need to do that.
There's so many now. There's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 5 different handbag companies you can rent. Obviously, you have Rent the Runway, you have Newly, you have Stitch Fix. I mean, there's so many options now. Even Amazon, I think, does
I
try
was
before
gonna
you
say
buy
that. Yeah, I'm pretty
at this
sure
point.
Amazon has the same exact kind of deal, but I know actually my friend's parents told me about it, which is kind of funny, but
Yeah. So, like, I mean, there's so many options now.
So I want to switch gears to Southern Charm. I won't get into the nitty gritty of the show and the drama, but I'm kind of curious how you feel being on reality television, especially when you came from going to culinary school to being on Bravo. Did you think that would happen?
I won't ever say I didn't think it could happen. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. I've always aspired to be a personality in the sense of being someone
Mhm.
that was like well known. So I had the goal. I just definitely did not think it was going to come through a national television show. And it's fun. It's nerve-wracking at times. It's exciting, it's scary. It's like you just don't know. You always have to have your eyes peeled, you know?
Right. What is one thing you wish people knew about you that maybe isn't shown on camera necessarily?
That's a great question. I wish people could see how. No, I guess I wish people could understand. Dang, that is a good question. I'm like trying to give you an answer and then figure out how to word it. I want to word it under the preface of like, I wish people could have a better understanding as to why I as am forgiving as I am. You can't really see that across a television show. You kind of just in that way you almost end up looking like you're allowing people to walk all over you. But
Right.
in the grand scheme of things, it's like I'm more so willing to understand that whatever issue that a person may have with me, it's they have the issue with me, there's an issue within themselves, and then there's a third option here. You know what I mean? Which is usually the truth. So it's like trying to give people grace.
Mhm.
I wish that's something that could come across better on television, but that's a hard one.
Yeah. Do you normally feel like you get negative comments because they don't necessarily see that in you, or is that something you really have to deal with at all, the negativity?
Yeah, it was definitely a big negative side of last season for me because I kind of was like, what is it called when you're like rooting for the I was the underdog. There we go. I was definitely the underdog last season, and I was left out of a lot of things. I wasn't invited to a lot of things, and it was made very apparent that I was to feel not invited,
Hmm.
and it led to a lot of people making accusations of me not having a backbone and not standing up for myself and like not being able to speak up for myself. But I think a lot of people fail to realize that if they had 6 to 7 cameras in their face all day, every day for what, 3 months at a time, that you would start to second guess and take your time in your responses versus
Right.
just exploding. Because now you have to think about the fact that millions of people are now watching their actions, and the majority are, in a sense, blessed that the rest of the world cannot see their day to day actions because they would be under the same amount of scrutiny, you know?
Right. And honestly, feeling uninvited is a mutual and kind of thing that we all deal with, especially as women. I feel like just that feeling is something everyone's familiar with, and they should be able to empathize with that. I feel like.
Right. Like being left out of the group chat message, or like you see the girls at dinner and you're like, oh, why wasn't I invited? It's like, it's a
Mhm.
very common thing. And I'll give it time. I'm lucky to be back for which is now going to be my third season. So hopefully, as I grow and continue to develop, that'll start to come across on the screen more as time goes on.
Do you feel like the editors, and this is just my curiosity too, with how reality show works, but do you feel like there's behind the scene things that maybe didn't make the cut that you wish they did, or because they normally cut, what you're saying into one episode, so.
Right. Charles, go away. Sorry, my dog's like sitting underneath me, like, Mom.
You get to go on
um,
camera.
yeah. Okay, hold on.
Oh,
Okay. Amy's so cute.
he's so cute. Hi.
I feel like there's always going to be something that gets missed or like you don't get to see, and
Mhm.
it's hard because the editors have to work and they have to make one episode in what, 60
Yeah.
minutes. So they have to they get to pick and choose like what's going to be seen and what's not. So again, you kind of just have to remember that you're always going to be scrutinized, and like someone's going to have something negative to say no matter what you do. So you kind of just have to pick your battles there, I think.
I mean, I have one camera on me right now, but if you added another six to that, I think I'd be a little stressed out.
Yeah, and you have a mic on you all the time, and like
Hmm.
there's cameras every time you cut the corner. There's a camera following you, or there's a GoPro somewhere, or like there's a camera in the corner that you forget about. So it's a lot. But I think that the majority, I think, realizes that all these things are around, which impact how we're shown and what light we're shown in. But there's still a good chunk of people who don't get it, and that's where the negativity kind of comes into play.
Right, right. Well, you have to take a step back and say, I'm on camera too. But you're also, I'm sure, a rational person in general. Like, you're not going to react to something out of character, but you also want to make sure you
No,
think through what you're doing as well. But also, just in real
right,
life, you're not just going to blow up on someone. You have to, everyone thinks things through, or at least you should.
right. You should, but I don't know if everyone does, but
Yeah.
you definitely should think all these things through before reacting.
Mhm.
And you know, again, people they think everything is happening so quickly and so fast, but it's like all these things take time. And again, that's something that I think that the majority might forget.
Yeah, right. So when is season 9 coming out? Is that normally in the fall? Are you able to talk about that? If
The trailer dropped yesterday, so I'm
Okay,
assuming I'm allowed to say it. But yeah, so we air September 14th,
okay.
which is right around the corner, which is super exciting. The trailer dropped yesterday, and the trailer is just buckle up for the season. I'm just weird. I keep telling everybody, put on two seatbelts, not one.
Hey, that's the best kind of reality TV show.
Yeah, right.
Is there anything you're like looking forward to?
I am looking forward to all of the like fun developments that'll happen throughout the season. I think the season's going to be one of our best seasons yet, and I'm super happy to be a part of it, obviously. But I think it's just going to be a really good season, and like the audience is also going to also enjoy it.
So, what's next for you in addition to the next season? Do you have any upcoming project you would like to share? Anything else going on that's exciting?
I feel like a lot of the things I'm working on, I'm trying to keep them under wraps right now. But I am working on one project that I've been working on for maybe 5 years. And I don't think people are going to expect it out of me. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's not going to be something that you would expect me to do. And I think that's going to be the fun part. So keeping my fingers crossed and that we have a brand by next year and it's locked and loaded and ready to go. But
Oh,
yeah, I'm excited about this one. I'm super excited.
that's exciting. I'll look out for it. So I have a little fun game for you if you're into it. It's like an opinion lightning round of trends right now. So because you're into beauty, fashion, and food, I'm kind of going to do all of those intertwined.
Okay.
But it's a smash or pass kind of deal for or against, whatever your vibe is.
Okay.
Cool. So the first one is the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, smash or pass.
Pass.
I have the same feeling as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love Charlotte Tilbury, but like I'll pass on that product.
Yeah, it got too much hype. I didn't.
Yeah, yeah. And like when things get too much hype, I'm like, oh, okay, like is it actually good? Or like the only thing I've ever fallen to the hype about is the Dior lip oil, which I have one right now. Holy grail. I don't think I'll ever be able to wear another lip gloss ever again in my life.
Okay, that's good to know because I have not purchased
Yeah.
that yet.
It's pricey, but it's worth it. And occasionally you can catch it on sale at like Nordstrom
Hmm.
or like a Neiman's, but it's good.
Okay, all right. I'm taking your word for it. All right, number two, finger foods as desserts.
Absolutely. I mean, smash.
Absolutely smash all the things.
Yeah, all the things. Love finger foods for dessert.
Me too. What are your faves?
I love a stuffed strawberry and like, like basic things. I also love cookies and
Mm-hmm.
brownies, mini cheesecakes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love a good mini cheesecake for sure.
Hmm.
All right, third one, corsets. That was a big thing for a while. Still kind of is.
Pass.
Yeah.
Pass.
Why pass?
Well, I'm naturally small, so corsets can sometimes hurt.
That's a fair
Like,
point.
yeah, and I don't know. It's just not my thing. But yeah, nah, pass.
All right, number four. I actually mentioned this previously with my Taylor Swift outfit. Coastal cowgirl look. So like dresses with a good cowboy boot.
Smash. I live in the South. It's
Yeah,
almost like our uniform.
I I figured that was a given for you, but I had to ask
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah.
And number five, so farm to table method. A lot of fresh, locally grown ingredients being used in meals.
Smash. I feel like living in Charleston, we actually have one of the longest growing periods. It's 52 weeks.
Wow.
So, like, right. So that means that we have an abundance almost all year of like just fresh produce, even the flowers. Like, I just got my flower delivery today from a girl, I think it's called Out of the Weeds, and she grows and cuts and does everything on her flower farm.
That's so cute.
So a lot of what I do, that was a really big goal of mine actually when I got back from New York in May, was to make sure that the majority of what I bought was local. So definitely a very strong advocate for that. And we have so many farms just in Charleston, but in South Carolina as a whole, we have a lot. But in Charleston, we have so many farms, and it's like a 25-30 minute drive, but that's not that bad considering you're going to a farm, you're supporting a local farmer,
Right.
you're getting things priced better at the grocery store, and like it's something that you can like fully believe in. You're not afraid of eating or cooking.
Right. And plus it tastes better. I mean, it's a simple.
Yeah, it definitely tastes better. Like the flavor difference is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is. Being switching from the East Coast to the West Coast, now I'm eating a lot more seafoods. I'm also been into tacos a lot lately, but they use a lot
Yeah.
of fresh ingredients for that as well. And when I was
Mm.
in Napa, they were using literally like the freshest tomatoes, the freshest fruit, and we were all looking at each other like this is otherworldly. This fruit is so
Yeah, like it's insane. It's insane. And like there we have something called South Carolina Agriculture or whatever, and I'm working with them on like a local basis to try to bring more awareness. I think people have the impression that going to a farmer might actually be more expensive, but it's usually not. It's usually either price the same or price lower than the grocery store,
Mhm.
and you can get bigger quantities when you go to a farmer versus going to the grocery store, and you just get to talk to the people who grew your food. It's just such a nice connection to have when you shop local.
Yeah, I think the stigma probably comes from the fact that because like handmade items, whether it's in fashion or whatever it is normally more expensive, or things that they find organic is more expensive, so they automatically assume that like farmers are kind of the same way.
Yeah.
But that's good to know that they're not.
No, I mean, I feel like I can take. So, the farmers market I'm actually going to tomorrow. I think I can take about $125 to that farmers market, and I can get everything I need from chicken thighs to eggs to my flowers, all my vegetables, my fruits, olive oil. There's someone out there that does cheese and bread, and that can hold me for, I don't know, maybe like 2 weeks. But again, there's also this thing where you kind of have to learn how to preserve things that come from a
Yes.
local farm because it's different from buying things from the grocery store. So, like a tomato from a farm stand might give you 4 to 5 days, where a tomato from the grocery store might give you 8 to 10.
Right.
So, like, people probably lean more towards the grocery store because of longevity. But, you know,
You
I'm a
might just
farm
have to
girl.
go more often. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Really trying. Everything I buy, I'm very much trying to use every single thing I buy because I hate having everything go to waste.
Yeah, and like what I've done recently is when my fruit and stuff are starting to go bad or my vegetables, I've started to blend it up or put it in a juicer. And if
Oh,
you don't
that's
have a
smart.
juicer, you can just put, yeah, if you don't have a juicer, you can usually put anything you want in a blender and then you just have to like strain it out, but you
Mhm.
have fresh juice. So it's like you literally wait until you can't anymore, juice the items, and then you have juice. So you're kind of making sure you're really utilizing everything you're purchasing. If that's like a fear of like, oh, it's gonna go bad so quick, just kind of pivot and find another way to use it.
That is, yeah, that's really smart, actually. I saw recently, I'm sure this was on TikTok because that's where I get all my information at this point. But
Yeah.
someone was using watermelon rinds. I think they blended it. I have to double check. But you would never think to use the rinds
No,
in a
I
watermelon.
never think to use the rinds either. I just always use like the meat of the fruit. I never use the
Yeah,
rinds. That's
yeah. There's definitely things you could do with it, but it's really tough. So you have to be kind of creative in the way you do it. But there's always ways to use every single thing in a fruit or vegetable. You just don't know it yet.
yeah, like pulp. The pulp from an item is good for baking.
Oh, true. Like
So like
citrus.
if you're juicing like oranges, yeah, like oranges or lemons. Sometimes if you get the pulp from an apple, that all of that is good to use in baking. So that's a way to like not waste again some of the fruit or vegetable that you're using.
Okay, and that segues into my final question for you, which is one that I ask all of my guests. If there is
Okay.
one baking, cooking, kitchen appliance or utensil that you think everyone should splurge on, what would it be and why?
Oof. One?
We could do multiple.
I would say if I had to absolutely pick one thing, I would get, I don't know the proper term for it is, but I'm going to say that they're cutting gloves. They're gloves that you can wear while you're cutting things. So it literally ensures that you never cut your finger. And I guess to really categorize that or sum that up, anything around the grounds of safety. So like with your mandolin, making sure that has a safeguard, your cutting gloves, making sure that you have rubber tips for all your knives, like anything that's safety and like safe driven or safety driven, I think I would recommend because I feel like the majority of accidents happen in the kitchen or behind the grill. And so that would be like my number one, I say number one category, not item. Anything
Mhm.
safety driven is going to be my number one for in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's a new one. I have not heard
Yeah.
anyone think that.
Yeah. It's just like it's so easy and like, even me going to culinary school, I can't tell you how many times I nick my finger every single time I'm cutting something or my nail or like I'm washing dishes even and I like touch the knife in the wrong way. So it's just like just thinking about all these little like safety gadgets and tools to avoid hurting yourself in the kitchen. Because
Hmm.
again, I think a lot of people don't cook because they're afraid of hurting themselves. It's a very scary thing
Yes,
to cook if you don't know how to do it.
that's true.
Yeah, anything safety.
Well, it all comes back to the nails. You got to preserve
Yeah,
your
you gotta protect the nail. Everything comes back to the nails, okay? I'm not giving these up for anybody. Like, if I have to go to the hospital one day and they're like, oh, we can't do a scan because you have nails, it's not happening. Like, what do you want me to do? Take my nails off?
Listen, you paid for the manicure, you sat in the chair.
Like, it's not happening. Absolutely not happening.
All right, so you can follow Venita Aspen at Venita Aspen or check out her website, venitaaspen.com, to keep up with her latest finds and projects.
I'm so thankful. This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you so much for coming on. This is super fun, and I'm obsessed with your wall background.
Oh, it's peel and stick wallpaper. It's a big giant sticker.
Hey, fellow foodies, thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave me a review. And while you're at it, make sure to follow me at Livvin for Food Pod on Instagram or TikTok, or email me at livinforfoodpod@gmail.com. Let me know what you're cooking up this week, which guests you would like to see on the podcast, or tell me your opinions on the latest viral food trend.